Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. I'm super excited. We have got Bugs on the show tonight. Bugs, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks
No.
for inviting me.
It's an honor. It's an honor to have you. We've been friends on X for quite a while. We
Yep.
You post a lot of very interesting stuff, and that's why I had to reach out to you. And you very kindly agreed to come on the show, man. So thank you very much. We've also got Biggs with us today. For
That's
anyone
right.
watching on YouTube, there's Biggs there as well.
Yeah. He's kind of quiet, but he's got big feet.
So Biggs is a Bigfoot. It's just I can see he is. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is. Yeah. Small one though.
Yeah, he's a small Bigfoot. Yeah, he's a baby Bigfoot. So
Yeah.
so what part of the US are you in right now?
Oh, I'm from Southern California.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice and hot.
It's still very hot. That's
Oh,
right.
lovely man.
I was
Love.
out there enjoying the sun this morning, in fact.
Oh, swap you. I mean, we just had a lot of rain today. I'm from the UK, and we just
Uh-huh.
had a heck of a lot of rain today. So it's that time now. We're getting to that cold spell, which I don't mind.
Sorry.
Yeah, uh, I'd much rather the beautiful sun of California. That is for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
And as we record this today, I know we're going to be getting into Sasquatch today, which is one of my favorite topics. As we record this today, it is the anniversary of the Patterson Gimlin film, which
Yes,
is pretty
that's
cool.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how old it is. I am sure because I did write it down in my phone. So let me just quickly check.
Yep.
58th birthday.
58 years. That's exactly
50.
right.
Wow, 58 years ago.
Isn't that awesome?
And it's wild because we have had some interesting videos since then, but
Yeah,
none quite the same as that Patterson Gimlin film that
I
still
agree.
to this day is like the holy grail of Bigfoot evidence, I think.
I think so too. I mean, you just see was it's like 59 seconds, I believe, roughly. And you look at the girth of the body, the muscle movements and that fluid motion. But in the early days, remember, that was just a shaky video and people could only see it, they could barely see half of it because it was like shaking all over the place. But now that we've scanned every frame and got it into the computers, we can see a beautiful, smooth, fluid motion of seeing her walk.
Hmm.
It's fantastic.
It really is. It is. And you see like the muscle movements,
Yeah.
and for me that I know it can be. I don't think in the Bigfoot world it's not really controversial. I think most people kind of accept that that is real. I very rarely meet Bigfoot people that don't think that that video is real. I guess there are people out there.
Yeah. Well, as far as Bigfoot people who believe in Bigfoot, then yeah, I've
Hmm.
not met any that don't think it's real. But I've run up against quite a few skeptics over the years,
Hmm.
who,
Absolutely.
right. But some of those people consider themselves part of the Bigfoot world, because they're always examining the evidence. But,
Hmm. Hmm.
but, um, but yeah, believers, yeah, they love this film.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, how 60 years ago, or just nearly 60 years ago, how could you fake that? You know? Yeah, we
I don't
we
think you could.
we watched Star Wars. I still love the Star Wars movies, like the original ones. They never got that, and that's the biggest budget out there, I guess, of the time.
Yeah.
They never got. Chewie looked pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't Patterson Gimlin video style good, was he? You know,
Not
you
even
know?
close. I mean, Chewbacca just looked like a big, no offense to Chewbacca, but like a kind of a big rug,
Yeah,
just sort of walking around, right?
yeah, man.
And but then also remember Planet of the Apes was
Yes.
also, contemporary to that time.
Hmm.
And I mean, if you just look at the that was like considered the apex of costumes at the time.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't come anywhere near. In fact, they never even showed like an ape on the movie, like, full bodied like that, right?
Hmm.
They had clothes and everything, and then these like weird masks,
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah,
yeah, it's hard to imagine how he could have faked that. And he
yeah.
and he didn't have a lot of money. You know,
Hmm.
he could barely buy the camera, or he rented the camera, I think it was,
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
used to film it. So,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
man.
man. Yeah, for me, that's always been the like the go-to. Like I know, as I said, there's a lot of good Bigfoot videos out there that are like questionable, but that is like the go-to. That's like, yeah. I mean, how can
Yeah,
that's real in my mind and in a lot of people's mind. So yeah, man, love it.
definitely.
We love you, Patty. We don't know where you are
Patty's
today.
awesome.
I hope you're still out there.
I like to think she's still alive.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I
she
mean,
might be.
because obviously we don't know how old she would have been. Like we don't know how long Bigfoot's lived. I mean, have you got any idea? What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
I honestly don't know, but I have friends who, well, I'm pretty woo, okay, just so you
Let's go.
know,
I love that. That's
right?
cool.
I figured you might. I have, I've got friends who've had personal experiences, that they know them, they habituate, they live around them, they come to their house and stuff like that. And they also say that they have mental connections with them, kind of telepathic, where
Hmm.
Bigfoots come to them and they actually communicate.
Yeah.
So so those folks tell me that she's still alive
Interesting.
when I've asked them. Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
the more people I talk to, I think, there's still many people that I need to talk to about Bigfoot, but most people recently that I've spoken to are more on the woo side. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that's just because of what I attract, maybe, maybe,
I
but
don't know. I
I
mean,
feel
looking at
like
your background there, I mean, you look pretty
yes,
like a straight shooter. I don't know,
yeah,
like a pure scientific kind of guy to me.
just straight facts, just straight facts.
Straight facts.
But that's I don't know at this point. I don't know how it couldn't be a little bit woo. I'm kind of on the fence because I talk to people that are flesh and blood and that like will not entertain the fact that these things are interdimensional or anything like that. But I kind of think that how can we not at this stage? You can't rule anything out because we don't really know anything. These things seemingly are tracked and disappear, quite and as you say, people seem to connect with these creatures spirit on a spiritual level.
Oh
And
yes.
we're hearing that more and more. They're kind of like in a way it's kind of similar to like how people interact with like ghostly entities in a haunted house. But in a
Yeah,
forest, it's very
that's right.
similar to that.
And also like some of the UAP encounters with
Yeah, it's the
aliens.
same. Yeah.
It's very similar. So I mean, I think that's why people are starting to call the whole thing the phenomenon because,
Yes.
right? Because there's so much similarity in the
Hmm.
encounters. And I personally, I guess, well, I started off very just kind of facts, ma'am. This is just an undiscovered primate in North America. That's where I began. But then now I'm on board with just about everything. Portaling, telepathy, um, uh, I guess pretty much anything else people are saying out there, I'm open to it
Hmm.
because I've seen some things and I've just in my personal life, I've never seen a ghost or anything myself, but I've seen what I would say the evidence of a ghost. Like
Interesting.
when my father-in-law died, for instance. I mean, he used to live in our home, and he used to give my cat treats, you know, and I would always give her like six treats, little crispy treats, and he would give her like a whole handful, fill up the bowl, and I'd always tell him, Papa, yay, Papa, please, just go easy on the treats. It was a little joke. And then after he died, we went to his funeral. Now, I swear to you, when I left the house, that cat bowl was empty. And when I got back home, it had the same amount of treats that he would have normally put in that bowl.
Wow.
So that's my personal experience. Now, I didn't see a ghost, but man,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, so my I've kind of been thinking more about that stuff over the years, and I'm more open to it for sure.
So at
Um,
that moment when you saw the bowl had food, was you like, you know, this is real. This stuff is real.
I pretty much felt that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because well, in our family, my wife's Filipino, and a lot of the Filipino families, it's very common for, um, after funerals, for family members to see their departed loved ones. It's a very common thing to hear about,
Hmm.
and so a lot of folks were talking about things like that, and so it was on my mind.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
when I saw that, I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
look. And I'm showing my wife and everything, and she's just
Wow.
giving me the kind of the big eyes, like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little scary too.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh no, this stuff. Yeah, that it does scare me as well. As much as I find it fascinating, and I've seen some weird things that I can't explain.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's interesting because a lot of people's first experiences, when I talk to people that have that first time experiences, so many people say, "I saw my grandmother sitting at the end of the bed." So
Oh
I've heard that
yeah.
so many times. People say that, or their grandfather. That seems to be a lot of people's first experience. I find that interesting. That so many people experience that, and often the people that accept that experience are the ones that like go on to maybe have more experiences and be open to this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think easing up to it and opening up to it. Um, well, so I'm also, I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. And so
Hmm.
one of the things that Jesus would say is that, your faith has healed you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the idea being that, and I never really understood that, that believing something actually allows it to occur.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's almost like a prerequisite.
Yeah.
So I think the more open you are to I guess, the supernatural, the spirit world, the more it opens up to you.
Hmm.
I think there's
Absolutely.
something
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
if you don't believe and you shut yourself off to these things, you're going to switch it off, and I think
I think
that's
so.
yeah.
It totally does. So that's why these skeptics, just sort of like really get under my skin sometimes because
Hmm.
they're just so hard-assed about it, where they're just closed completely off. I
Hmm.
think they literally shut things down sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
I find it hard to believe, like, whatever your religious beliefs or whatever, I find it hard to believe that there's people that believe in like nothing, with the world,
Yeah.
with the world that we live in now, where it's a wild world, we know that, but there's ufology is a massively growing subject, and I think we can all agree that there is something going on out there, whether
Yeah.
what it is, we're not quite sure of yet, but that yeah, how can you believe? Like, I don't understand how you can believe in like nothing. That this is all science. That we're all here by like the Big Bang and by luck. I guess I don't want to say anyone's wrong, but for me, I
Yeah.
find it difficult to believe that. I find that more difficult than some of our religious views that we have.
Oh, totally.
Beliefs.
Yeah, I'm very much on board with that.
Hmm.
Because to me, like if there's nothing, then I mean, then there's what's the point?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do whatever you
Yeah.
want. I mean, it's like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
how I see it. So
Yeah.
so I like the idea of having meaning and purpose in my life. Now I know the
Absolutely.
skeptics will say it's like, oh well, yeah, so you just want to believe it, you have no evidence, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, whatever. I'm so done with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
I
never
don't
gonna.
even have those conversations anymore.
Absolutely. Watch the Patterson Gimlin film and tell me.
Yeah,
Tell me there's not more going on in this world, man. Because
that's right,
as we've,
Patterson Gimlin.
you know, that alone.
Oh, I was just telling a friend of the other day about that. We went out to lunch, and he's like, he nearly fell on the floor when he heard that I believe in Bigfoot, because he just thought that was the most stupidest thing ever. And I'm telling him like about Patterson Gimlin and stuff like that, and everything I tell him, it's like, oh, well, that's fake, or that's this, or that's that. And I go, well, what about people who have actually seen them with their own eyes, and they're
Hmm.
atheists, and they're like, they don't believe in anything, but they've seen them, and I know people like this.
Yeah.
And they're like, Bugs, I don't even believe my own eyes. Maybe I was hallucinating, but I know what I saw.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to,
So many
so this
people
guy
say
was
that.
just, yeah. And this dude was like, he was shooting down everything. So I was just like, he didn't want to, he just wasn't open to anything.
Hmm. Hmm. Some
So I was
people
like,
just won't accept this stuff. I get it. I get it because
yeah,
it's scary. You can't really control the paranormal. But we've got too much evidence out there. Too many of us have had experiences, personal experiences that to be able to, write off all of this stuff. It's just that to me that's crazy.
yep.
But where does this? Did you have experiences when you was a kid? Did anything happen when you was younger that kind of put you on this path?
As far as the Bigfoot side or paranormal
Bigfoot,
or
paranormal, yeah, all of it. Yeah.
I No, I don't really. I mean, as a kid, I was like a super scared kid of everything, right? I get monsters around every corner. I was convinced Godzilla was gonna, step on our house, and I was just super scared of everything, super shy. But and so I remember, so no paranormal stuff that I'm aware of. Okay, but I do remember. I don't know how old I was, but maybe. See, the Patterson Gimlin film was 1967. So I was born in 66. So I remember at a very early age, I might have been like 6, 7, or 8, maybe, seeing that film on, like In Search of or something, right, on the old television. And I was scared just com out of my pants, man. I I didn't sleep for days after seeing that. So for some reason, Bigfoot really got to me, more than some of the other things out there. And I think that's interesting because I do correlate that to stuff that's happened later in my life. Oh, and also my heritage. So I mean I'm a member of a Native American tribe. I mean I know I'm mostly white. Obviously people are going to see that on the video, but I am a fully fledged Ojibwe Indian, so and that tribe is in Wisconsin and I'm a member. And
Wow.
right, so the Ojibwe culture, we hold Bigfoot in very high regard. It's one of the seven grandfather teaching totems. It's honesty. And so sometimes it's depicted as a raven, but it's often depicted as a what we call sabe, which is Bigfoot. And so I learned that later in life, and I sort of tied that in with Bigfoot made such a huge impression on me as a child, the
Hmm.
fear factor. And then later, reconnecting with the culture and realizing, wow, that's like built into well, maybe, built into my DNA or my heritage.
Yeah.
So I draw connections there. Yeah.
That's so cool. I find it so fascinating with like, the Native American culture that like all the tribes had like different names for these creatures.
Yeah,
They were
that's
always
right.
describing the same thing, but they were different names. And I saw the list. I saw a list recently of all the different names that these creatures were given, and
Yeah,
there's so many. Like there's
that's
so
right.
many different names, and but they're all talking about the same thing. And I find that
Oh
fact because
yeah.
you see that all around the world as well, like in every culture around the world, China, Russia, Australia, we've all the Bigfoot is there. It's just often just got a different name. And
Yeah, I think so.
I find that so. Again, how can you rule that out? You know,
Good point.
there's
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
always
it's
been there.
part of humanity, right? It's part of humanity.
Yeah.
Every culture has seen these things and reported them, which to me kind of suggests that paranormal aspect of it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because no one ever produced a body that I'm aware of any of those all around the world even, right? The
Yeah.
Yowie and the Almasti and all these different ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think these guys have a way of either burying their dead or whisking them away,
Mm-hmm.
through the portals or whatever. And I mean, because it's a great question, like why isn't there a body? Why don't we have any bones?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got to be honest. I mean, that's a great question.
Yeah.
But we also got to be honest that people see these things.
Absolutely.
So those bodies
Absolutely.
are going somewhere.
Yeah. I did read a book many years ago, and since talking to people about this book, a lot of people tell me, as you know, in this world, you'll get people that say, "Oh no, that's not true. Don't listen to that book." And I try to not listen to that kind of stuff. Like until I know for a fact myself, then I'll like rule it out. But I feel like you can't rule out on someone else's word sometimes. We know what people are like. People
Yeah.
have their own ideas, their own agendas, and all this kind of thing. So the book, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was basically a guy that claimed to be communicating with these Sasquatch somewhere in Florida. I can't remember the name of the book. It's a great book. Enoch, it was called. I don't know if you've
Oh,
heard of that one.
Enoch.
I don't know if you've
That
heard of that.
sounds familiar.
It's a great
Yeah.
book, but people, some
Vaguely.
people, some people have told me that maybe it's not true. I don't know. But in
Yeah.
in this book, the
Uh-huh.
guy claimed that the Sasquatch would bury their dead, and bury them under a tree. Which
Oh,
kind of makes sense. That's why we can't find them if they're under trees that are like still
yeah.
living that we're not chopping down.
Right.
So the book claimed that he saw a Sasquatch lift a tree out and bury. I mean, again,
Wow.
I don't want to say I don't know. It was a great book.
No, I mean that's a cool idea. I do think that I strongly suspect they bury their dead. You know,
hmm
I don't know if that book is accurate or not in that
hmm
regard, but I mean
I hope
but
it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I know it's a great idea. I never thought about it under trees. I always figured maybe in some rocky area or maybe caves or something like that, you know.
Living underground, yeah.
Yeah.
But that would suggest that they're flesh and blood, if that's the case.
I believe they are.
hmm
And that's the thing is I believe they're absolutely flesh and blood, but that they also have access to, things that we consider to be magical or paranormal, like being able to phase in and out of visibility,
hmm
right?
hmm
Now, the way one of my mentors puts it, she says that it's like yeah, they're flesh and blood, yes, they can portal. Oh, and by the way, bugs, so can we. We just forgot how,
Again, that makes sense. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
And she gave a story of one of the shaman in her tribe. She's from Oklahoma, also mixed blood. But when she was younger, she said that her and her friends were in town, and then they saw the shaman in town, and they greeted him, and then they decided, her and her friends were going to drive back home, and it was a few miles back home, and he lived on the way. And so they asked him, "Would you like a ride?" And he says, "No, thank you." So they drove off in their car going home, and after a few miles, there he was sitting on his porch. Yeah, yeah,
Whoa.
exactly. So she basically was like, "Yeah, people know how to do this. They
Yeah.
don't advertise it, they don't go into the James Randi thing to get the $1 million. They just, they just do it."
Yeah. I mean,
That's cool.
yeah, that is cool. It kind of makes sense that we have these abilities that we've kind of lost in the world that we live in now. We've got our cell phones, we've got TVs, computers. We're very much distracted. We do use our heads, but in a different kind of way. Like
Yeah.
you can imagine hundreds of years ago when we were like the wild man of the forest ourselves, like we would be communicating maybe telepathically. We would probably have senses that we kind of don't need anymore that we used to have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
mate,
think it totally makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about your intuition, right?
Yes, gut
Right? They
feeling.
they talk about how the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you get goosebumps, like when you're maybe out there and maybe you're sensing a ghost or a Bigfoot or something, and people
Yes.
always talk about, oh yeah, I started feeling that feeling, and then there they were.
hmm
So, I mean, I think that's part of it,
Yeah.
is that primal ability that we've kind of gotten away from.
Yeah. Well, you think like for example, when someone when you think of someone in your mind, like a friend that you've not spoken to for a while, and then they call your cell phone, like
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that. When stuff like that happens, it's like, oh, it's a coincidence. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I really think that there's more
Yeah.
going on there, and stuff like that happens quite often.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
Yeah. And sort of when if you're walking along and you sense someone's behind you, you've not
Yep.
heard it, and you look round and there's someone there walking
You
behind you.
just know they are. Yeah.
It's just that's built into us.
I think
But
we've just forgotten how to listen to that side of our nature
yeah,
and
yeah.
our senses. Yeah.
Well, they say, I mean, I know they say, who are they? But they say we only use 10% of our brains.
I've heard that.
I've heard that. I mean,
Yeah.
I could do with more. But if that is true, if we only use 10%, 15, whatever it is, if we were using 50% of our brains, what would that mean? Would that mean we could fly? I know that's going,
Maybe.
but
Well,
maybe.
yeah. But maybe doing some of these things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know where that ability comes from. I don't know if it's in the brain. Maybe. I mean, because there's such a mystery as to who we actually are,
hmm
right? And how do we interface with these bodies that we find ourselves in? Meat sacks, people
Yeah,
call them, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Um, but so I don't know. It feels like they're like cell phones or computers with certain types of interfaces with
hmm
the world, right?
hmm
And yeah, so I mean, I think it's just we don't we're not used to using those other interfaces.
Yeah.
And I think we've literally forgotten how, like, maybe ancient civilizations that have been wiped out, where we've gone through maybe near extinction events in the past,
Hmm.
that maybe that's when we lost some of this knowledge,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I
know?
think that's very possible. That
Yeah,
we were so far advanced and natural disaster, or maybe we blew ourselves up. We can see how we could have done that because we can kind of see it in the world we live in now, where, a wrong few moves and, we've destroyed ourselves, which is crazy. But
right.
that's how crazy some of the people that, some of the world leaders are. Let's face it, we are
Yeah.
sometimes on the edge of destroying ourselves. And you can sort of see that maybe happened in the past, or maybe it
Yep.
was a natural disaster or something like that, and it sort of
Sure.
wiped us out, set us back.
Yep.
Stuff like Egypt and things like that, which we just can't explain to this day. And, maybe that would answer a lot of those questions. Maybe we were a lot more advanced, and yeah, I love all that, man.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm. Going back to what you were saying about the body, no one's found a body. We've got to put it out there because you said before we started recording that a lot of people think that you're a guy because there's a guy called Bugs that claimed to have killed a
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
It's not you.
Yeah, I think it was back in the 70s or something like that. There's a very famous or well-known Art Bell Coast to Coast episode with this guy named Bugs who came on. I think his real name was like Ed Hale or something like that. I posted a few things about him the other day, and he claimed that I guess he shot a couple of them and killed them. And, and people really remember that episode. And so then they see my name and they don't know if the guy, I mean, he died back in 2015, but people don't know that. So then they're just like, "Hey, are you that guy on YouTube? I was listening, the other day, but it was Art Bell's episode." And I'm like, "No, because I don't kill Bigfoot, man. That's not me. I'm strictly no kill." I'm like horrified that my name is even associated with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I don't
So,
think that's the way. I don't think that's the way. A lot of
oh
people
yeah.
say that that would finally prove it for good, and I don't
Yeah,
don't think it
yeah.
would in this world. Would it? Would it in this world that we live in now? Because
If we had a body, I think that would pretty much do it. I
hmm
really do. Well, assuming when it got into the right hands, of
yeah, that's the
course.
other thing. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Now this Ed Bugs Hale, he claimed like when he was finally pressed on subsequent interviews, like where's the bodies? I think he said, "Oh, the government came and took them away." It's like, no, I'm sorry,
hmm
dude.
Yeah.
But there are people out there that are actively looking to kill them. I mean, I know there's a group in Texas that does this,
hmm
and they don't make any bones about it. They're they figure, yeah, we want to kill one, and
Yeah,
we're gonna do it, just so that we can settle this once and for all. I think that's grossly immoral.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, even if like, because I know it's horrible thought of killing an ape, but even if this is more, a lot of people say that these things are human. They're just an offseed of us, you know.
Yeah,
So what
we
is
see
that?
them as
That's
people.
yeah, and a lot more people say they see them as people. I know that's another big thing in the Bigfoot world. Are they ape? Are they us? Are they a mixture? Who
Right.
knows? But yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah,
killing
that's a big debate.
in that case, you're killing a person,
Yeah, that's right.
and that's kind of well, what's
We don't
that?
want to be doing that. It's
No,
basically murder,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So
because they're
you're not that bugs.
correct. I'm glad we got that cleared up.
So you mentioned your heritage to the tribe.
Yeah.
Are you actively still like a member? Do you like meet up?
Yeah. I'm a federally recognized member of the, let's see, what are we? We're the Lake Superior Tribe of Chippewa Indians. I think that's what, oh, yeah. We have such a long name for our tribe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm an enrolled member. I was adopted in a few years ago, like 2016, I think it was. The way our
Wow.
tribe does it is that if you can prove that you have a direct lineage to the reservation or the tribe, then the tribal council reviews the information. You got to go and fill out the forms in person and everything, and do that. And then they look at your information, and I can show my my great grandfather down to my grandfather through my mom to me, and I have documentation to prove it. And then they're like, yeah, you're eligible to be part of our tribe. And so then every year the tribe votes, do we want to allow all the people that have applied to come in over the past year or not? Or we wait another year. And so each year you vote either all in or not. So after a couple years, I got in.
Oh, wow.
And so that our family was finally able to kind of be coming back onto the res because we had been disconnected, back with my grandfather. He
Hmm.
was taken away as a child, mixed marriage and everything, So
Hmm.
just
Wow.
nothing bad, just mom wanted to separated from the crazy Indian guy and had enough of that and took the kid with her.
Wow, man.
So yeah, so I go back, as often as I can. Obviously not too often because it's quite a distance from here.
Hmm.
But my cousin lives there and she's a active member in the education department. And yeah, I'm a full-fledged member and very proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, when you're back, is the topic of Bigfoot still? I know you said there's a different name. That
Sabe.
Salbei,
Yeah.
Salbei. Wow, is that still a talking point between the
With
tribe?
with some people, certainly. Yeah, I've met with a few folks back there who've seen them and
Oh,
had
wow.
encounters and stuff. And then there's just like anyone else, right? And then there's a bunch of other people that are like, "Oh, that's just a bunch of nonsense,"
Oh, even within the tribe, like not
Oh,
everyone's.
sure.
Oh,
Not
okay.
everybody believes the same, right? It's just like anything else. Everyone's got different opinions.
Hmm.
So, but there's quite a few though that do accept it. you
Interesting.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Sasquatch, the Bigfoots, the Sabes they kind of have free reign on the reservations generally, because most natives are pretty cool with just letting them, respecting them and they respect us.
Hmm.
We just let them be, right? So then they do their thing. And so they're not as worried about someone, taking a pot shot at them and taking them out.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of them travel the reservations more freely. Yeah. And
Interesting,
and
man.
yeah, my cousin said that there was a sighting just across the street from her house one day. She didn't see it. She's scared to death of them. But
Wow.
but it was just right there, and it's right near the casino and right near the tribal council and everything. So I think they're right there.
Did they describe what they saw, what it looked like?
I think it was just one of those fleeting kind of sightings because Highway 2 goes right through there. So, someone's just driving along the highway and they just saw it walking across.
Yeah.
It was one of those kind of sightings.
Which is often what they are. I mean,
Yeah.
that's most. I think out of 100 sightings, that's 99. These things are like it's a quick glimpse and they're gone.
Yeah. Just a few seconds most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. In your native culture, what are the perception of what these things are?
So in our particular tribe, they're described as our eldest brother or eldest relative, and they're the kind of like the perfect apex wild human
Hmm.
that, lives in the forest, always just out of sight, always there, but always just out of sight. And we say that if you get lost in the forest or if you approach the forest respectfully, they will help you find medicine, like herbs and whatnot for use different usages. Or if you're lost, they might be able to help you and maybe help you find your way back out. So they're seen as sort of benevolent overseers and that kind of a thing. And
Okay.
definitely, I think probably a cross between flesh and blood and spiritual.
Hmm.
Because they're so elusive, right? I mean, it's not like people in the tribe say, "Oh yeah, we know what they are," and they come and sit with us all the time. It's not like that. They're just as hidden to us as anyone else.
Hmm.
But it's just that I think we know they're there, and there's just a healthy respect.
Yeah, yeah, they're
you
accepted.
know.
Yeah.
But I think every tribe has their own kind of spin on that, right? Because we don't
Yes.
really know them that well. And so we come up with ways to try to explain who they are and what they're about,
Hmm.
right?
Do you
Yeah.
do you know any examples of like what other tribes see these creatures as that might be different to what your tribe sees them as?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not with real specificity. I can't remember the exact names. Okay, but I think it was the Skookum near the Washington area. I believe there were a tribe that saw the Bigfoot as more predatory and dangerous, right? Where they would come and abduct women and or children, and I guess potentially maybe kill some of them for food. But then I guess there's other tribes that talk about women being abducted, for as wives.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's that too. And there's even a story. There's some obscure story. I have to find that where supposedly a woman had given birth to Bigfoot babies, hybrid babies, and that they
Yeah.
lived in a tribe and everything. So I don't, and there's no way to ever corroborate that
Hmm.
scientifically now, but I think that was in David Polita's um, Tribal Bigfoot book, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I mean that's an example. And then there's
Interesting.
like I think there was another tribe that they talked about fighting with the red-haired giants. You know, you may have
Hmm.
heard about that one. I think
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
somewhere maybe in the Southwest. Um, yeah, where they were, I guess, warring with these larger giants for quite a while. And then I think they trapped him in a cave at some point and then set a fire and then sort of killed them all off that way. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's one of the lore that I've heard.
Interesting.
I
I
have to
mean,
look into that.
red-headed giants. I mean, that is something else that you hear in other cultures around the world as well. People describe
Yeah.
red-headed. You had what's it? The Kinderhart giant in Iraq. I believe it was in
Oh,
Iraq.
I've only heard of that, but I haven't looked into it. Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
So that
Yeah.
was described as like a giant red-headed man,
Ooh.
and the talk is that a US army took it down. I don't know how true that is, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that share that story and say that that happened. So that's quite interesting, man. And
Wow.
is that another type of Sasquatch? Is that a giant? Is that something completely different? Very interesting. Again, it's
Yeah.
interesting how these things are the same in different cultures.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
And I guess it's like how native tribes will see these creatures is kind of their how they've had to deal with them. If they are coming into their land and taking women and children, you're not going to think of these creatures as like spiritual, beautiful
Hmm.
beings. You're going to hate them. You're going to want to
Right.
attack them. You're going to see them in a completely different light. So I guess it's just
Hmm.
what the dealings of with these things have been, because
Definitely.
you talk to people and they will say that in different parts of the US that these creatures behave slightly differently, that in
Yeah,
some places they are more aggressive. Like I
that's
think
right.
you hear that in like Texas and places like that. Encounters.
Yeah. I've heard different stories like that. Yeah. I think that the way you approach them is everything. Okay. So like if you go into their area, and think of it this way, you go into the forest, it's like someone walking into your living room,
Hmm.
right? Okay, to them. It's like that's their home. If someone walked into your home, how are you going to react? You're probably going to be
Yeah.
a little, hey, who are you? What are you
Yeah.
doing? And you're banging around with a camera and some lights, whooping into every room. I mean, really? You're going to be pretty pissed off.
Hmm.
Now what are you going to do if your kids are in the other room? You're like, who are these strangers? You might take some action, right? So I think that some of these Bigfoot are perfectly willing to be respectful to us, but if we come close to their babies or if they're trying to tell you, hey, get away from this area, and we're warning you, we're throwing rocks at you, we're giving you infrasound and all that stuff, you're still coming in? Well, hey, dude, you asked for it. We're
Yeah.
taking you out. I mean, I think maybe that happens,
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
but then that's just us being stupid, in my
Hmm.
opinion,
Hmm.
ignorant.
Absolutely.
So, because you gotta learn about respect. I mean, that's
Hmm.
one thing with the native culture. I mean, respect is a really big deal.
Hmm.
And you see how these tourists, go to like Yellowstone National Forest, and then they get mauled or thrown about by the buffalo. You've seen those
Yeah,
things,
trying to get a selfie.
right?
Yes.
So I'm like, dude, now that's like respect 101.
Hmm.
If you don't respect nature and you don't respect these different animals, bad things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So I think it's the same.
you can't blame the animal for that. You know, if
Yeah, exactly.
you go near a bear that's got cubs, you know that you're going to get attacked. Like
Right.
there's no doubt, no doubt about it. And you can understand that, you know, because as you say,
Yeah.
if someone comes in your house and you've got kids, your first thing is to protect your kids, your
You're damn
house.
right. We do the
So,
same thing, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. It is interesting. It is
So I don't
interesting.
see them as monsters. I see them as just another type of people, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so again, we need to take that into consideration when we're around them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. So
Yeah.
you mentioned before we started recording that you had a possible experience with Bigfoot. Can we
I
get into that?
have. Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I'm pretty jazzed about it that I had the blessing and the opportunity to do this. But so I told you, like growing up, I was scared to death of Bigfoot, and I really was, man. I go camping, and my buddy would mention him, and I'm like, dude, you mention that name one more time, I'm out of here. I'm like, hike right out of here. So shut up about the Bigfoot stuff. Um, so, so then for quite a few years when I was working, I had a young family, and I kind of went through a semi-skeptical phase there, and then around 2012, I was like, you know what? Work sucks and I need a good distraction. I wonder what's going on in the Bigfoot world. I wonder if there's anything out there. So I start getting on the internet and I find, a bunch of stuff on Facebook. Like Facebook Find Bigfoot. I don't know. Do you remember that, by the way? It was something called Facebook Find Bigfoot.
Mm, sure.
Maybe not. So this is back in the
Yeah.
2012
Remember
timeframe.
finding Bigfoot, I remember.
Yeah, that was a TV show, right?
Yeah.
So there was a Facebook channel where they were like doing all these cool analysis of all these great videos that were coming out back at that time, and it just sucked me right in. So I was eating that stuff up, and then so I got to meet a lot of people online, as a result of Facebook groups and all that sort of thing. So I met people that eventually led to me becoming an administrator for something that was called the Bigfoot community, Bigfoot group there for a while. I'm not sure if that's still active, but and so through those connections, we had a big trip, to go up north to Willow Creek and have a camp out.
Oh wow.
And Willow Creek is the town that's just a few miles away from Bluff Creek, as
Hmm.
you know. Okay. So, so we all went up there. Oh, and by the way, I had a great friend from Australia that came and flew into LAX here in LA, and I picked her up, and we got a big white van, and I picked up another person, and we drove up there together in a huge van and met the whole group up there. So then we had this camp out up there for several days. And then one evening, or one day rather, the Australian friend and another friend and myself took a trip up to Bluff Creek from Willow Creek because some of the other folks, my mentors, were up there, and some other people were camping just about one valley over, or maybe one or two valleys over from Bluff Creek, up in the dense, north northern Californian forests, right? Okay, so that's kind of the setting. So it's up there where Patty was filmed, in that same area. And so we went off into some very relatively remote fire access roads that are all throughout the area. And so we drove up there, found the campsite, and then spent, an evening and then the next day there. Well, afternoon and then the next day. So that afternoon, we took some hiking around the campground. Me and two or three of the other people that were camping there. It was like maybe about four of us actually. So we're walking down one of the roads, and we hear what could only be described as sort of a grunting or a gumping or thumping noise. Okay, that's so we called it gumping because it sounded like a grunt and a thump. That was what the ladies were saying. And so, and one of the people that was there, she had been in Africa and seen and heard gorillas. And so one of her first reactions was, that sounds a lot like a great ape, that weird noise that we're hearing. Okay, which is really interesting, right?
Hmm.
And so, and so that was all that really happened that afternoon. But that was interesting, right? That we're like, and by the way, that sound was very low frequency, where you could feel it in your chest,
Whoa.
right? So
Yeah.
now, other animals up there don't do that. And this was a consistent kind of like room, room, room kind of noise,
Was you
so it wasn't
feeling
like
like,
just,
because people, what do they call it? When people are like blasted, what's it called?
oh,
What's the word?
I think they call it getting zapped.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
infrasound.
Infrasound.
Was
Yeah.
it was
It's
it
that
like
low
that?
frequency.
Was you getting something like that?
I think so. I mean, I didn't get that feeling, but one of my friend from Australia, I think she's pretty psychic, you know. So she was picking up on all sorts of they don't want us here. I'm scared and I don't want to be part of this, I'm going back to camp kind of feelings. So maybe they were warning us. I don't know, but I wasn't picking up on that. So maybe I was that stupid, disrespectful guy that was just like, "Oh, let's just keep walking." Well, anyway. But anyway, so that's really all that happened that afternoon, which was, like I said, that's interesting. And then I had heard some different wood knocks, here and there, but it could have just been the wind, popping the trees. I'm not sure. But that night, going into the evening, we're looking with the night vision goggles and we're by the fire and whooping into the darkness, and we got a little wood knocker and we're doing that. All the typical stuff you see on like Finding Bigfoot and stuff like that. And I was getting a little bit tired because I'm like, oh man, nothing's gonna happen. This is I don't know. And then I pick up, I stand up and I'm gonna get some more wood for the fire. And as I do, I hear this clearly spoken word, which was, and it was just like this. It was whoop. It was pronounced whoop, coming from right where we were, doing it into the forest. And by the way, this is a very remote area. So, it's not like there's houses around here or anything like that. So I know people are going to say, well, how do you know that wasn't a human being just messing with you? Well, because all the people in our campground were in the campground and there were bears out there,
Hmm.
and we're not going to be walking around out there in the dark. And so I don't think it's very likely that there was somebody across the creek, whooping at us like that. Anyway, but that's what we heard. So I turn back around and look at all the people around a campfire. Their eyes are bugging out from their heads and they're like pointing and I go, was that you guys? And they're like, no, no, it came from over there. And I'm just like, no, I couldn't barely believe it. And then right when I was saying that, my other friend from a different direction heard all sorts of cooing behind her back. And she jumped up from her seat and she was freaked out. And she's like, oh my God, they're behind me now. I'm going to bed. So her and, my friend from Australia, they slept with their boots on. They got in the tent because they were just scared shitless. I'm sitting there going, man, more, more, more. And I start walking down the road. I was going to go look for them. And everyone's like, bugs, bugs, there's bears out here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, dang it. I wasn't even scared, right? I was just like, oh, maybe we can go see them. Anyways,
Wow.
so that was pretty cool, right? So now, now so that's okay. So that was for that evening. And something happened again the next day. It gets better. So, the next morning, we get up and we decide to take another walk down that same fire road access road where we'd heard the gumping the day before. And so it was just me, my friend Dee, and then Deb, the Australian lady. And we're three of us are just walking down that road. We got about maybe I'd say a quarter mile or so, and Deb starts saying, "Oh no, no, they don't want us here. No." She's starting getting all those weird vibes again. And so she was just completely freaked out. And we're like, no, Deb, let's just walk along the road. It's fine. It's the middle of the day. And she's like, nope, nope, I'm going back to the camp. They don't want us here. No. And we're like, okay, fine. So she heads back. And and so then we go a little further on, and then we start hearing the gumping. And it was grunting again at us. And me and Deb were there, or I'm sorry, me and Deanne were there, just the two of us. And we could hear it down the slope off to the right of the access road, you know, just very clearly, and it was just like maybe three at a time, three of those noises at a time. We were trying to record it on our phone, but it's so low frequency that was impossible. It wasn't picking up anything, but we clearly heard it, and it was a lot. Okay. And then so we were just fascinated. So we tried to do maybe some tree knocks and stuff like that, but it was just that gumping noise. And so we're just thinking, okay, well, we're getting a little tired of that. I mean, it's cool, but we're getting tired. So we decided to head back to the camp. So then we got walking and the grumping stopped. And then we were just sort of doing a hiking walk, just sort of nothing was happening. And we're just decided we're just getting back to camp. And we're still, maybe a mile or so away or whatever it was. And from the upper um, crest, up to the right of us along the road and to the right, there's a huge steep, incline all the way up to a peak, totally forested. All of a sudden we hear a protracted, very loud roar, like a really loud, very protracted howl roar, and like something big coming down towards us. That's what it sounded like. You could hear the gravel and and my friend was, D was just like, "Oh my God, it's coming down at us," and we're frozen with fear. We're well, actually, I wasn't scared. I think we were more amazed, right? She was startled by the sound of it coming towards us, but we're looking at each other, just bug-eyed at each other, like, "Are we really hearing this? Oh my God!" And then as soon as that happened, from behind us down the slope, the grumping starts up again, right at that moment. So those guys had followed us over, and then now they're hitting us from the other side.
Whoa.
You see what I'm saying? So and it was at that moment that I'm like, okay, there's too many coincidences here. This is not just some random thing.
Yeah.
These guys are watching us, and they're kind of escorting us back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Oh, I know. And so anyway, so that happened, and then we nothing else happened at that point, and then we got back to camp. And as soon as we did, we talked to Deb, who had previously went back, and we told her what happened, and she was just like, whatever, because she was so scared. And then she told us that she told them, and I kind of assume, that mentally, right? Because she's psychic.
Hmm.
I think she kind of communicated to them, leave me alone, go after them. Meaning us, right?
Interesting.
And I think that's exactly what they did. We got a kick out of
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So
right?
for that moment, like for that weekend, was you like was that proof in your mind that these things are real?
It was. Yeah,
Wow.
that's where I'm willing to say, yeah, they're real.
Hmm.
I mean, I was pretty much there already, but
Yeah.
I'd always
Yeah.
said, hey, man, I really want to see one,
Hmm.
right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's even a prayer I make to the Creator. It's like, I'm like, before I leave Earth, if
Yeah.
it's possible and if it's in your will, do you mind if I could see a Bigfoot?
Please. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I thought, geez, everything I heard though was that's pretty good evidence. It's almost better evidence in a way.
Yeah.
Because I still want to hear someone explain to me why was the sound resonating in my chest cavity?
Hmm. Hmm.
What animal does that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what animal follows me, around like that?
Yeah.
And which one comes down at me while they're roaring?
Hmm. Hmm.
Not like a bear, but I mean like a howl roar,
Yeah.
like something a man would make, but louder and bigger.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
then I thought, wow, maybe that was actually better evidence, at least for me.
Yeah.
And then was one other thing that I heard that is significant to me, and that was the tree knock. I mean,
Hmm.
I've heard this I've read about this and I've seen it in certain movies where they say that there's three loud tree knocks. Emphasis on the third knock. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Letters to the Big Man or From the Big Man.
I
It's a
don't think I
Bigfoot
have.
movie.
No, I don't think I have.
They actually put that a reference to that in the movie, and I thought, wow, yeah, that's exactly what I heard. And this is
Interesting.
actually this is documented with other encounters that people hear like two, pretty loud crashes, tree knot crashes, and the third one really loud. And that's what I heard. I heard like a crack, crack, crash, kind of a
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. So I thought, and that was after we had gotten back, from the event that I had just described to you, and we were back in camp, and I clearly heard that, and that was loud too.
So that was later that night.
Oh, that was later that afternoon.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So that's
Wow,
that's kind
man.
of the extent of my personal experience, and yeah, I just feel really blessed to have had that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because so many people that research Sasquatch, don't have these experiences, which is what I find really interesting. That there's people that put years of research into this and might not see it, might not have an experience as good as you did, and that,
Right.
so these things, as much as a lot of people do see them, a lot of people have experiences at the same time, it's rare as well, it's not like,
Yeah.
so that is pretty cool. So do you think these things were surrounding you?
I do. I mean, they had to have been because the upper slope to our right was, I mean, it was way up there. I mean, and these are steep slopes, okay?
Hmm.
This is not something where you just hike up them. It would take me all day to get up that slope,
Yeah.
sliding in the sand and everything. So there was something up there on the crest,
Yeah.
on the ridge line. I mean, clearly something. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you say it was a man, somebody was up there. And
Yeah.
then down the slope on the other side of the road, down another very steep slope, was this noise coming back up from there. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. It was very obvious that from that direction. So there was obviously more than one, you know,
Wow.
because that
Yeah.
happened at the same time.
If you had to kind of guess, how many would you say? I know that's difficult because it's a guess, but how many would you think were possibly there at that time?
Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you a few more details on the whole trip to kind of maybe do the estimate. I never really thought about this before. Before the day before we got there, or a day or two before we got up to camp, one of the other ladies was driving in a car with some of the other folks, and two very large humanoid figures came down that same slope I was talking to you about, and across the road in a couple of bounds down the slope to the other side of the road in full speed, running down, cross the road, and full speed down the slope,
Well, they saw him.
right in front of her, like in the car. Okay. Now she's
Wow.
also someone maybe you could get a hold of sometime. She's a great Bigfoot person.
Yeah.
Um, um, and she's done podcasts about this too, by the way, because she saw it. And the
Wow.
way, but when we were there with her, excuse me, what's interesting is that she had she had seen them, but then for a few days she had convinced herself that it wasn't Bigfoot's, right? What she had convinced herself was, oh, what I saw were two guys in full-bodied jumpsuits, you know, all the same color, from head to toe, and they were probably, marijuana growers because there's a lot of marijuana farms up in that part of the country. And they were probably just, they're just drug runners and they're just a couple of guys. And she was rationalizing it out of her brain. But then when she kind of came to her senses, she was like, "Wait a minute. That's absurd.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did they run down what were they doing running down the slope? And how did they run down the slope? And how did they not fall on their face when they hit the road,
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
that happened. So that's two of them right there. She saw
Hmm.
two. I spoke to another woman that was in camp there, and one evening she saw one run through her camp right by her fire very quickly, just ran through, like a flash. So so she saw one. I heard one that I am convinced that the one that said whoop, I'm convinced it was a juvenile. Just because the voice sounded so sweet. In my mind, I'm thinking it was like a young female maybe just playing with us.
Yeah.
Okay. And then through the night, my other friend said she heard a lot of rock clacking all through the night, which just drove her nuts. Um, so, I mean, clacking, right? We're next to a little stream, but this is like actual rocks, that you can clearly hear are being knocked together.
Hmm.
So she heard that. So I'm going to say five or six maybe are up there, when we were there.
Wow. Yeah.
Certainly two,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, certainly two. At least two. And I'm
Wow.
going to say more. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Like the whoop
Right?
that you heard, it's weird because obviously when it comes to like the whoop, like that
Yeah.
famous Bigfoot whoop that we know
Yeah.
about, like I think I often assume that that's like a noise that they make, like a bark, basically, like that kind of. But you're suggesting that that is like a language, which
Oh,
is
I think they definitely
interesting.
speak. Yeah. They
Yeah.
can mimic. They can mimic anything.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
my mentor has told me that they can mimic coyote, owl, you name it. They can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people.
You hear
And
that a
so,
lot.
yeah. So that's why I think they were kind of mocking us. Because we're doing the whoop and trying to
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
well, we're Bigfoot people. We know how you sound.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly now that I think about it. And so I could just see them on the other side over there looking at us going, these hairless wonders, you know, let's just let's just say whoop back to them and give them a little run for their
Let's say
money
let's
tonight.
do a whoop. Let's do a whoop. Whoop.
Whoop! Yeah, exactly. That's what I think it was. I
Yeah.
can't prove it, but that's just my impression.
I mean that time you were there, you like your
Yeah.
friends saw these things. You had that wild experience where they're surrounding you. You've experienced like all the Bigfoot phenomena that you can experience. Everything that you've experienced, like the classic, as you say, the wood knocks,
Yeah.
the whoop, the
Yeah.
whoop,
Yeah.
everything, man. I mean that's so cool. I'd love to
Yeah.
experience that. And as much as because I get very scared by this stuff as well. I'm
Oh,
sure if I
okay.
was in the forest and I heard, or if I felt like, that feeling you said, like the infrasound hitting you,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that would freak me out as well, man.
You might get like a
But
fight or flight
I
kind of a
would, I
thing.
would love it. I think I would love it. That is the goal one day to go over to the US and spend time in areas like that. I would love to
Oh,
do
that would
that.
be great. Maybe
Yeah,
one
man.
day we can try to connect out here
Yeah,
in
let's do it.
California.
That'd be
Yeah.
amazing. That'd be
We're definitely
amazing.
trying to get some trips, set up in the future.
Yeah,
I'd love to go out again too.
yeah, man.
And that does happen. I mean, people come in from all over the place to do some of these trips. Like the
Hmm.
one lady I told you that saw the two of them across the road, she's from England.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so
Oh,
she's
wow.
been all over the world looking
Yeah.
at for cryptids. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Yeah, I've got to come over there. I've got to.
Yeah,
Did
that'd be
she
great.
did she say what they looked like? Did she say like how big they were? Sorry. Like did she say there was like a height?
It was very fast. So I don't remember her estimating a height. But then again, I haven't listened to the podcast. I need to do that and maybe get some of her information. So she may have estimated it since then.
Hmm.
But I definitely got the impression one was like larger than the other. I think she said that.
Yeah.
But to me, it was the speed that she described that was the most impressive,
Hmm.
right? Because we saw when we were driving out, and this was actually pretty cool too. We're in the Jeep, we're going through the road, and all of a sudden, this huge black bear just comes down that slope right in front of us, runs in front of the Jeep, right in front of us, and then whoop off down to the side, just like supposedly the Bigfoot had done, right? Where but it kind of slid down and like kind of landed on the road and then started running and galloping and then just sort of barreled over to the other side, you know? So that's just not a place where a human could be doing that. So
Yeah.
when you have bipedal, you know, creatures running down the slope, not missing a beat, crossing the road in just a couple of, bounds. I mean,
Yeah.
really? I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
this is
we.
like it would take me like three or four, five or six steps to get across that road.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
we're gonna hurt ourselves trying to do that as well. We're gonna
Definitely.
fall. We're gonna roll.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gonna be painful.
you're gonna break an ankle, break a leg. And then what the hell are you gonna do? You go down the slope the other side. No telling where you're gonna end up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very
Face plant
dangerous.
into a tree or something and kill
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, absolutely. And why would
Yeah.
someone put themselves in that position? Like, You just wouldn't do it.
Makes no
I
sense.
mean, these what we know is that these creatures, they are highly superior in the forest environment. To us, we've got no chance against these creatures. They're obviously, it's their habitat. It's,
Yeah.
they're still living in maybe that primeval human way that we maybe used to live. They still live that way. We've got
Yeah.
no chance, man. If they want to
No
take us
chance.
out, and that's the other thing that kind of scares me as well. If they wanted to take you out and you get bad people, maybe you get bad Sasquatch, they can just
Yeah,
they can just take you out, man. Like you
I
wouldn't
believe
stand a
so.
chance.
Oh, not a chance. Absolutely. I mean, they're super strong,
Yeah,
you know, and they're
yeah,
they're massive. They're people say like their chests, right, are like barrels.
yeah.
Yeah, we our torsos are kind of flat, right, from back to the front. They say theirs are more like a barrel. And if you look at the Patterson Gimlin film, you look at Patty, you can see
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
The size of her torso is just it's very round and large.
Hmm.
It's not like a human's,
Yeah.
torso at all.
Yeah. She looks
So these
pretty
guys are
solid.
strong, man.
Yeah, yeah, we got no chance. I wonder if some of the cases where like the missing 411 and things like that, where people just vanish without a trace, skill hunters that, are not going to get lost in the forest because they've been doing it all their lives. I guess mistakes can happen and, things happen that we can't understand, but there's a logical explanation. I guess that does happen. But I do think that also sometimes maybe these creatures you've caught them on a bad day, maybe in some cases, and
Maybe.
and in
Yeah.
that case, you're not going to stand a chance.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
But I like to
Probably
think
all
they're
of
all
the
kind.
above.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think most of them are, if
Hmm.
not, well, yeah, I can't say all because I think there probably are a few bad apples.
Hmm.
But one of my mentors is very adamant about them being very peaceful, and benevolent creatures.
Hmm.
They're not the types that you have to worry about them.
Yeah.
And she's seen them ever since she was a little kid. So, I don't think she has no fear.
Hmm.
And also, you hear a lot about Bigfoot will kill dogs, aggressive dogs, and I've heard stories like that, and I think that's probably true. But my mentor, she has, had like a very large, big, I think it was English Mastiff, big dog, and never had any problem, So I think it just depends,
Yeah.
again, on how you approach them and, if they feel threatened, you
Yeah.
know. So, like
How?
if you're out there trying to shoot them, you know,
Yeah. You're gonna get angry. You're gonna fight. You're
yeah,
gonna fight back if someone's coming at you with a gun, and yeah,
yeah,
you're not gonna accept that.
heck yeah.
How does your mentor describe these creatures like looking?
Oh, well, she's got a sketch of one, just very hairy, obviously. Um, I think she said when she first saw the first one, I think she was like maybe 6 or 7, just a young girl, and she saw one that was roughly what she thought about the same age, a little boy, and she just thought it was a little boy, a little hairy boy, and she said, and I knew it was a boy because, even at that age, I knew what boys had down there, and so
Yeah.
he was just, and she just saw him, and so basically they look to her the way she's described them kind of like hairy humans, large hairy humans,
Hmm.
right? They have, eyes like ours in the sense that, you can look into them and, you can see someone inside those eyes, right? It's not like just like an animal eye. It's more of a human type eye. They have a more of a flatter nose like ours, or I'm sorry, not flat, but whatever you call the shape of a human nose versus like an ape's nose, which is just flat on the face.
Hmm.
So they have more human-like features in those areas. So they look just like hairy humans. And that's why she jokes about them looking at us like the hairless ones, or the hairless wonders. That's what I say. Because we must look pretty weird to them.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
They're like, oh my
Wearing.
God, have you ever seen like those cats, like the cats that don't have any fur?
Yes,
Have you
yes.
seen those?
Yeah,
That's
man.
what I figured Bigfoot probably look at us and think, oh my God, those guys are ugly.
What is going on there? Oh, we've got these big flashlights and
Yeah.
we're whooping and
Bunch of idiots.
what are they doing, man? Let's play with these people.
Yeah.
Which is often like kind of your experience and what so many people experience. these creatures do seem to kind of be playing with us in a way. Like they're
Yes.
moving us around the forest. And as you said, they're coming in, they're guiding you out or in or wherever.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
hear that so often, man, and it's like they it is like kind of a game to them that
I think so.
they could come in and wipe us out very easily with those
Easily.
abilities, but they play with us, you know, they throw stones
Yeah.
and things like that, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's fascinating, man.
I know like have you ever heard of the Olympic project?
I have, but
It's yeah, so
refresh.
that's up
I've
in the
heard of that.
Washington State, up in the upper northwest corner of Washington State, there's a Olympic National Forest. And so there's a Bigfoot organization up there that goes on expeditions, and they're called the Olympic Project. And I hope I'm saying his name right, but I think it's Derek Randalls
Hmm.
was a founding member of that. And I saw him on a show once, and he said that when he first started, trying to go out and find evidence of them. I mean, he had seen one, so he knew they were out there. But he wanted to go get DNA or trail cam photos, all that kind of stuff. He said when he was first doing it the first several years, he's just thinking, oh great, we're gonna get some evidence. These guys aren't too smart. They're just undiscovered apes. We got this. But then I heard him say that over the years he realized, no, no, no. There's far more to these people than just apes, because he says the way that they play with you, it's like they make a noise in one direction, but they're really over on the other side, and there's more than one. He said they're extremely cunning, highly intelligent. So now he's got a very different view, of
Interesting.
them. Yeah, isn't
Yeah,
that cool?
yeah, man.
So yeah.
Very interesting. So what I know you've kind of answered it anyway, but what do you think these things are? Like in a nutshell, what's your and my opinion changes every day. So and
Yeah.
maybe you're the same, but what is your overall thoughts on what these things are right now? If you had to if you had to
Yeah.
put them in a box right now.
Well, my overall philosophy and theology is that I believe that there is a creator. I believe God is real. I believe that he created everything that you and I see in the world we live in, but I think he created a whole lot more than that. I think there's millions of civilizations, millions of different types of beings in creation, within creation. Okay. So that being said, I mean, I think these guys are just one more intelligent being that inhabits our planet, very similar as do we. I think they are people. That's what I see them as. They are not us, but they are people. Okay. And it's really as simple as that, like, there's bears out there, there's all these animals that we know about, we've studied all these things. And by the way, there's an intelligent people out there too that prefers to stay outside of our way, because and probably for very good reason, because we're not very nice people sometimes.
Mhm.
So I think they're just another people. But I think some of them are highly spiritual, kind of like us. We have our spiritual people, our theologians, our shaman, and whatnot. And then we've got our dunces and our bad people too. And I think that they probably have, similar types of situations there. I think there's different races of them, different versions, right? Because you see different accounts describing different types of colors, different shapes sometimes, like the skunk ape right down in
Mhm.
Florida. It sounds like a very different type of morphology, than
Yes.
the Pacific Northwest Bigfoot.
Hmm.
So I think that so basically that's what they are. They're flesh and blood, but I tend to think that they portal and they come in and out of visibility or whatever they do. I think they do it so naturally, they don't even think about it. They
Yeah.
probably don't know that we don't do that too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think. And I think they're perfectly suited to living in the wild and wherever they are. And maybe when they portal, maybe there's whole other lands that they go to that we don't even know about, right?
Yeah.
That we don't have access to. So does that kind of answer? I mean, that's a little bit of
Absolutely.
a rambling answer, but
No, it
that's what I,
absolutely does. Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
where I'm at. Yeah.
Absolutely does, man. And I
Okay.
would say I agree with what you said there completely. You know, it's
Oh, cool.
we don't know what these things are, but I tend to lean more to what you're saying right now. My opinion does change every day. As I say, I'll
That's
talk to
okay.
someone tomorrow that's just flesh and blood, and I'll be like, okay, they're just flesh and blood. But
Yeah, yeah.
but no, I think there's something there's got to be something more going on with these creatures. Perhaps a science we don't understand, you know.
Yeah,
But that's what makes sense to me right now for sure. So it's so interesting, man. Bugs,
cool.
I've loved talking to you tonight, brother. Thank you
It's
so
been a
much.
pleasure.
Before we
Yeah.
wrap it up, have you had any other experiences, any other paranormal experiences or UFO experiences, anything like that that come to mind?
No, no, nothing that's worth mentioning. But I will say that I thought I had a UFO encounter, or not encounter, but a sighting when I was younger. But I can't really say that I did. But
Oh, can we?
I was in Las Vegas,
Let's
so
go. Let's hear it because people
it's
say
really no
that.
big deal. I used to go there. My sister lived there, and this was back in the 70s. And I was out, playing out in the desert. I'd bring my BB gun out there and just shoot. But I looked up one day and I just saw a bunch of white things in the sky. You know, you I've convinced myself it was seagulls. Okay. And there are seagulls in the desert, but I remember staring at those things for a while, just like wondering what the hell are those things? And there was like it was a perfectly clear day, blue sky, and then I don't know, maybe I'd say maybe 20 or 30 or I don't know, maybe a dozen or so of these white things flying around, and I don't know. I don't know if that was UFOs. It might have been,
Sounds like it.
all right? It's real
I'm
possible.
gonna
Or
say that was you.
but
I know,
hey,
sure.
but if you tap in with Mick West, I'm sure he'll say, "No, Bugs, that was definitely seagulls."
Oh, really? Okay. I
You
mean,
know
I
who
do.
that guy is?
I think so.
Have you heard of Mick West? He's like a famous debunker, right?
Oh,
He
okay. Yeah, yeah,
he shoots down everything in the UFO world, right? He's sort of
yeah.
a known entity.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm sure he would say
I mean,
birds.
I've seen things in the sky that I would say are UFOs. I mean, I've had those experiences, but I mean, again, yeah, there are cases that you know we may be seeing something that we're thinking is UFO, and it could be a seagull. I'm not saying that
Right.
that doesn't happen. I think that's very possible. I watched a video not long ago on Instagram or one of the social medias, and it was a video out in the ocean at night, and there was this like floating like orb looking thing, and I
Ooh.
was like, that's a UFO. There's no, I was
Yeah.
about to share it and everything, and I sent it to my friend that's a bit of a debunker as well, and he was like, no, that's a seagull, definitely a
Oh,
seagull. And I'm like, and when I watched
okay.
it back again with that perspective, I did think, oh, okay, that could be a seagull.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't send it out, and again, I don't know if it was or it wasn't, but I do think in some cases, but I mean, that sounds what you experienced. I don't know. I feel like that was during the day, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I feel like you would know if it was seagulls.
I
I mean,
know.
I'm
I
just
That's kind of how I feel about it. So because I've thought back about it and I'm like, "Oh yeah." And, I remembered that, one
yes,
day just randomly and I'm like, "Oh
yeah,
yeah, I
that
definitely
happens.
saw that." Because I remember, just craning my neck and looking up and just really trying to figure out what the heck is up there,
Yeah,
So I always wonder about that. And
yeah, and
that's out near Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas.
oh, it's all
So,
adding up.
right?
How
So I'm
big?
like,
Yeah, I think
huh?
that's UFOs, man. How big would you say they were? I know that's difficult. You're a kid. It's in the sky. That is
Really
tough.
hard to say. Yeah. I don't think I could even really
Yeah.
if I just had to completely guess, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 foot across, maybe.
Hmm.
White,
Yeah.
pure white. Yeah. Moving around.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
in my mind as a kid, honestly, I mean, I could easily see, flying saucers, basically. They look like flying saucers. White, you know, China,
Hmm.
saucers. That's what kind of what they reminded me of. But
Whoa.
but my reasonable mind, says, probably seagulls, because
Yeah.
they're white too. And Lake Mead is nearby, right? So there are seagulls out there.
Yeah.
But that's the closest thing I've got to a UFO story. Oh, but I will
Interesting.
say that I do go out every August, star party out to Joshua Tree,
Oh,
and
wow.
we look and see things out there, every year. I mean, meteors and stuff and satellites.
That's
Um,
cool.
And just this last year, out towards one of the test ranges, the military bases, we were seeing some pretty crazy lights out there. Now, I know they were having exercises, but I was seeing stuff that I couldn't make a whole lot of sense of, so it made me wonder. It was just lights off on the horizon, moving in very erratic movements, sideways, and moving pretty fast. But we looked it up and they were saying they were doing some sort of like artillery kind of exercises. And I don't know what kind of artillery was doing what I was seeing. So I thought that
Yeah.
was really, you know, and it was going on for hours. And we were looking at it, and
Wow.
we stopped looking at the stars because we were like, what the hell's going on over there? You know,
Yeah.
these are really interesting lights over there.
I mean, that is an
So,
area where there's a lot of UFO activity reported.
oh,
Uh,
definitely.
I
So
mean,
I plan on going out there every year, and I'm gonna keep trying.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. I mean, it's possible that the military have, I mean, they do, but I mean, I'm sure they do have technology that they're not telling us about. I mean, sure, a
yeah,
lot of these drones that we're seeing are possibly that. I think
yeah,
that's safe to say. But there is stuff out there that we can't explain. Whether it's all government technology that we've got that we don't know about, but I don't know. But that's interesting. That's some interesting experiences there, man.
yeah. So I'm staying active. I'm doing my best to try to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
what's out there, man.
Yeah, sounds like there could be more sightings going forward.
I'm hoping
Interesting
so.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, Bugs, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. I'm so glad you came on. Thank you so much, man. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you if they want to maybe reach out to you and talk
Oh
bit?
yeah. I'm really active on X. I basically spend all my time on X now. So you can find me with the handle Bugs Finds Bigfoot. And the username is at Bugimus,
Awesome,
Bugimus. And
awesome.
so go there and check out some of my content. I'm trying to put up informational stuff about Bigfoot and speculation stuff and all sorts of good stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you put really cool stuff on,
Oh,
which is why
appreciate
I'm
it.
so glad you came on today because I was like, oh, all the posts you put on are interesting. So people need to follow you on X.
Awesome.
You're not the Bugs, the Sasquatch killer. That's not
No,
you. Let's
not
just
me.
say that again. That was
I love Bigfoots.
you
See,
love Bigfoot, yeah. And we've
I even
got
got my little buddy right here. See,
Biggies. Here's Biggies.
Bigs. Yep,
Bigs. That's it. That's it.
it's Bigs. Yeah.
Well, brother, thank you so much, man. I hope the first of many conversations. I'd love to get you back on and talk more
Oh
sometime.
yeah,
Keep
I
us
would love
posted.
that.
I want to come out there soon and search Bigfoot with you, man. That'd be amazing.
That would be great. Yeah,
Awesome.
anytime.
Awesome stuff, brother.
Cool.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, share it where you can. That is a great way to support the podcast. And we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, dude.